Guys, Monica Weakley here. You know how you're supposed to post about real estate every single day on Facebook? Yes, you do. And the reason is, if we don't remind our Facebook friends what we do for a living and how we help people, they will forget about it. We know it's our job to inform, educate, and demonstrate what we do for a living. Well, I'm coaching agents all around the country, and they understand that, but they're not doing it. And I ask them, why aren't you doing it? Probably just like you. And they said, Monica, we don't know what to post. Can we just borrow your stuff? Because I love creating Facebook posts. And these can often be used over on Instagram as well. So I said yes, and people were borrowing my stuff. So I created finally a product that you can sign up for free. It is free, guys. There is no reason for you not to sign up for this. It's ghostposter.com, GHOSTPOSTR, no E in there, just TR.com. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a Facebook posting idea to your email every single day. So not only do you have this great idea, but you've been reminded, oh yeah, I need to post. And that's Monday through Friday. And if you don't love the post or you think, gosh, I'd like something else, well, you're also going to get access to a library of over 600 different posts for you to choose from by category. You're going to love it. Go sign up, ghostposter.com. Don't waste a minute. And then be sure to join the private Facebook group. All right, I'll see you in there.
All right, I am here with Lars Hedenborg. Hey, Lars.
What's going on?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. So you're going to talk to us about what's really going to be required of us as agent in this like impending shift storm that's happening.
Yeah. So, looking back, I feel like, and just getting ready to have this conversation and just the fight club, like just getting riled up for,
it's going to be a fight.
Yeah. To go into battle in terms of like what's coming. And, I think a lot of agents have been, getting some easy business, and
Coasting.
I got into real estate in June 2007, March 2007. Looking back, our market like completely inventory went through the roof, like starting in June 2007.
Yeah.
And then it was a total shift storm for like 3 or 4 years. And, I went from 44 sales in my first full year to like, 178 a couple years later, and then over 400 a few years later. And I did it with, and this is the advice I have for someone that wherever you are right now, my estimate is that probably 2/3 of real estate agents are probably going to be out of business in the next 2 or 3 years.
But how does that compare to the 85% that are already going to get out anyway? You think it'll be on top of that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Our industry has a way of grinding out agents anyway. It's some like 82 to 85% of agents don't renew their second anniversary.
And that's like a whole nother video that you and I can probably go down a huge rabbit hole on.
Yeah. So in my market, which is, Greater Charlotte, North Carolina, we went from 15,000 agents to 5,000 agents in the Great Recession.
Oh my God.
And now we're back up to 18,000 agents. So I think we're going to go back down to 6,000 to 8,000 agents. And here's the thing. I really believe it's 80% psychology. So that's not from me. That's from any business, coach. I learned it from Tony Robbins. Yeah. 80/20. So 80% psychology and 20% tactics. So on the psychology side, I remember I didn't have any sales background when I got into real estate. I didn't have any marketing skills. I had never, built a business before, but I had a mindset like every day I was determined to sell a home. Yeah. I'm like, F it. Like I remember telling myself, nobody can tell me I can't sell a home today. So there's a double negative in there, which I was just like, let's go. It's game on. I'm going to find someone. I'm going to, tweak my marketing to be relevant for the buyers that were out there. My first 3 years, I only worked with buyers because I could come up with clever, distressed sales, off-market properties, builder closeouts.
That's what was going on back then.
Yeah, there's a lot of good inventory back then. And so the mindset, but the mindset translates into
activity.
Yeah, activity is the 20% part, but the mindset even is like, what are you putting in your brain?
Right.
I think I went until recently. I have been off the rails with all the rabbit holes and like end of the world doom and gloom. You cannot do that and stay in business. So I think I went like 10 years of not watching any news whatsoever.
Yes.
And really in those, 3 to 5 first years where I went from no license to selling, 400 homes, I didn't let anything get into my head. All the doom and gloom, the bleeding headlines about the market and real estate agents getting out, and
it does you no good.
Yeah, really guarded my mind around all that stuff. So it's the mindset to know that even if agents are getting out of the industry, you can still create the kind of business you want, and then to guard your mind against all the negativity, because it's like it's global. Like
it is.
Countries are going to go down and off the map, and like it's
no
going to be bad, but there's so much opportunity in it. So that's
what are the things that you do listen to, or that you do, like, what are some tips around that? Like, what should people be listening to?
Yeah, so anything around, like, I'm trying to think in the early days, like now for me, it's podcasts. So any podcast that, like a Darren Hardy Daily, like Darren Daily, his, books like Compound Effect, or Benjamin Hardy has his Willpower Doesn't Work, Clear Atomic Habits, like all the sort of basic fundamental, like, hey, if I could just tweak my habits and my daily activities and identify with a top agent, even if I sold 5 homes last year, I identify with what would a top agent do in a shifting market. They would do, right?
Yeah.
They would get up early. They would
still do the things, but you're right. So guard your mindset, putting positive things in there. Well, of course, our podcasts, right?
Of course.
Real Estate Fight Club. And what is
Get ready to rumble.
Real Estate Team Builders.
Yeah. And so that's the 80%. And then, like you said, on the 20%, if I were to follow around like the average agent that says they want to be successful, and they say they're going to sort of enter this shifting market, and I were to just follow them around every day, like they're just not in the game of sales. Like, they're half of their time is essentially, and I'm sweating because I just worked out. So I don't know.
No, because you're fired up about this topic.
A video version of this. So on the tactical side, agents aren't doing the work of a salesperson. So essentially they're running business errands or personal errands most of the day. They're like, man, I was so busy today. It's like, I ran a yard sign over here, and then I picked up a lockbox. I entered a listing to MLS, and it's all lower dollar activity. So even if you're in that world right now and you think that's the job of a real estate agent,
wrong.
It's like 85% of real estate agents don't have an administrator, but 85% of the work an agent does is administrative in nature. And those activities, I'm in a major metro market, we can hire those out for a lot less than $20 an hour. And you can even use virtual assistants. I have 4 virtual assistants in my business now, and we're hiring amazing talent out of Brazil for $3.75 an hour.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So my point though, on the tactics side, 80% mindset and psychology, 20% tactics, it has to be in your calendar, and it's non-negotiable. You have to figure out a way to, at a minimum, 3 hours a day of new business development. That's looking for new conversations with would-be buyers and sellers, and a separate time block, at least an hour, for lead follow-up.
Yep.
And then
people collapse them, and then they think the lead follow-up is the generating the leads, but it's not.
Yeah. Or you show up, you have this time block in your calendar, and it's got to actually be in your calendar, or you show up and you're not prepared to make calls. Right. You don't have any metric around, like any non-negotiable around, like how many meaningful contacts a day. You better know how many meaningful contacts you must have every day to even be in the business. One of my most successful members, he sells 500 homes now, 200 himself personally, and has about 6 agents that sell 300 homes. And he, his first 3 years in the business, he made 60 contacts a day, 5 days a week. So 300 contacts a week for 3 years straight. Yeah. That's 45,000 contacts. That's more contacts than an agent would make in 50 years in real estate.
Yeah, no, I agree. We used to have my goal was 1,000 contacts a month. And I didn't really like working on the weekend. So I think it ended up being about 50 a day. And there were some days that it was like 100 a day.
Yeah, that's where you need to be. And if you don't have active, like AAA buyers or listings that will sell, then your whole day is new business development.
Yeah, that's it.
And the only way you can get through it is, 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off. So you need breathers, to kind of go walk around.
There's a lot of tactics. I think too, like, even if you are the agent that's like, well, I got to go drop off this sign or do whatever, right? It's like, okay, well, while you're there, why don't you door knock? Why don't you, do the things, like, don't just go there and drop off a sign. There's a lot of generating.
I like that. If you're going to go drop off a sign or do something stupid like that, you have to get 10 meaningful conversations in that neighborhood.
Yes. Like,
and then you'd be like, okay, I won't drop off the sign. Then I'll stay in my air conditioner. I'll get the 10 meaningful conversations. I'll hire my, my cousin with a pickup truck that is willing to work for, $12 an hour. We put out like a job post for a runner at under $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And we'll get 100 applicants.
It's crazy. Like, it's possible. It's just, but that goes back to what you were saying about the mindset, right? And it's really like, it's pretty much that, it's that easy. Like, have your mindset right and do the two things, which is generating leads and following up on leads. Do that most of your day. And like, ta-da, you have more business than you can even imagine.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything, crazy that I did, but I sold 44 homes in my first full year in real estate, like more than double every agent in my little boutique brokerage that.
Well, do you think though, because for people that don't know you, so you got into real estate in 2007 but you came from a corporate background in acquisitions and strategy, that having that knowledge of business had to have like propelled you into success.
For sure. Because I was like, not that I had I didn't have a team or anything in my corporate job. So it wasn't like I was running a team, but I was involved. Like I went into other people's businesses and I sort of ripped them apart, and I saw just different people or departments, or, there were people that worked on machine shop floors, cutting metal. And then there were like the owner of the company was like, making a lot of money. And there was like different positions that made the whole thing go. And when I got into real estate, it's like everybody did everything themselves. And from my first 10 months in the business, it was 7 days a week. I remember on a Sunday afternoon, I was like I did these postcards, which actually worked. They got a great response, but I was printing them on the broker's printer because the copies were free. And it was like getting clogged and jammed, and I was like cutting them, and like it was the worst thing ever.
It sounds
and I'm like, this is ridiculous, So I hired my first administrator part-time in February 2008, so less than a year in the business. And I remember she started at $14 an hour. I posted a Craigslist ad for an assistant at like 2:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And she saw it like the next morning. She had decided she was going to be out of real estate forever. She came off 7 years working for another agent that retired, and she saw it that morning. And we lived 4 houses apart in a city of like 2.2 million.
That's crazy.
And so it was for sure like God placed Tia Wilson in my life for 7, almost 8 years. And without like that key person, you have no chance at sanity if you want to make a lot of money and not lose your life in the process.
So when preparing for the shift storm, which I love that saying, but as an agent preparing for this, okay, so I understand the mindset piece. I understand I have to like focus. And by focusing, part of that is getting some stuff off my plate, right? Which feels a little bit scary because it costs money. But what I hear you saying is like, if you can take the money that it costs, it will allow you the time to focus on the money generating activity, which is a higher dollar amount, correct?
Yeah. And so the exercise that I did, and it was probably in it was in 2008 where I had already done my tax returns from 2007. And I knew what I made as a 1099, with all my expenses out. I think I grossed like 250. I gave 75 to my broker. So I had 175. I wasted a ton of money. I netted like 38,000 or something like that. And I worked about 2,000 hours in 10 months. So I made like under $20 an hour.
Okay.
And I read a book called No BS Time Management for Entrepreneurs by Dan Kennedy. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was his 2nd edition. He has a 3rd edition now. And I know nothing about the book except this one calculation. He said, essentially, entrepreneurs are not making the money they want, working the hours they want, because they're doing all this stuff that doesn't pay them really well.
Yep.
And so I just said, I want to make $500,000 and I want to work 40 hours a week, which is 2,000 hours roughly. So 500,000 divided by 2,000 hours is $250 an hour.
Right.
I wrote $250 an hour on all these like index cards, colored index cards, to remind myself that like, is the thing you're working on right now worth $250 an hour? So new business development is, lead follow-up is, buyer consultations is, listing appointments are, building marketing systems in your business, hiring an assistant and training that assistant, but showing homes, going to a closing, running yard signs, entering a MLS, taking pictures, designing a brochure, running a lockbox, like putting a yard sign in, like 100 things aren't even 10% of $250 an hour. So it took me like 4 years to get to $250 an hour. And it was every quarter just listing out all the activities I did, deciding like which I really loved and which really paid well. And then just getting everything that didn't pay well, whether I loved it or not. So it's a passion versus pay sort of exercise. And just, I would take 90 days to get everything off my plate that I didn't deem as paying well, until the point where I got all buyers off my plate. I got all listings off my plate. And then, you know, I was down to 1 day a week.
That's awesome.
All I did was meet with 2 people, you know, essentially. I held a team meeting and I met with my ops person and my sales manager. But it started with the mindset. I committed to the daily activities and then shedding acts, you know, delegating things that were not dollar productive.
Yeah, there is, I have this tool that it's like for 3 days, you keep track of everything you do in 15-minute increments. I'm sure you've done this 100 times.
We do it for 14 days and our members.
14.
Yeah, it is the worst thing ever.
You don't need 14 days. You need like a half a day. And then you're
I'm going to write that down because my members would appreciate that. Maybe I'll cut it to 7.
So how can they, so the point is that when you do this activity, you realize the time that you're wasting. So Lars, how can people get that from you or get into your world to learn more about how to prepare? Like, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, actually, because you just mentioned that, if you go to realestatebusinessgrowth.com, it's our business growth navigator, but there's 2 things that are included with it. So one is our time study. And then the other is, I think it might be the passion versus pay. So 2 of the tools that we just talked about are included as bonuses with that business growth navigator.
Right.
And I don't have anything to sell, you know, you'll just get podcasts of mine or stuff like that. So
what's the podcast again?
It's Real Estate Team Builders.
And if people want to reach out to you, they want to talk to you about like maybe being on your team or being in your coaching or whatever, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I would go to partnerwithlars.com.
Easy enough.
Yep.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, it's Monica here. I am so excited to introduce you to Real Estate Fight Club's newest partnership, Cyberbacker. Cyberbacker is the best in the business for virtual assistants. How do I know this? Because I am a Cyberbacker customer and I love this company. I have my favorite, Frances. She is my Cyberbacker, been with me for over a year. She's amazing. She makes me better. She's eager to help. She's on time. She's disciplined. She's awesome. And this company, Cyberbacker, has figured out the system from the interviewing process to find out what I need, to the interviewing process to interview several Cyberbackers, to the onboarding process, to the training process. Very buttoned up, very awesome. You and I both know it's time for you to leverage. It's time for you to take that step, and Cyberbacker is a really safe, awesome solution. Make sure to mention Fight Club and you will be getting a free gift. All right, do it. Make the call. See ya.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a podcast.